This is an interesting quote from Joshua Ramo, Age of the Unthinkable. Have you read that book yet? I believe these revolutionary times call for revolutionary thinking, and yet it often seems that we are entering this revolutionary age with ideas and leaders and institutions that are better suited for a world that no longer exists. And that's the challenge that we have here. The world is changing, and I think that that's really the impetus for moving ahead with mobile government, or the mobile governance, but also other tools that we talked about in this group. This is going to be a national project. It will be co-sponsored by the Communities of the Future, that's Rick's group. We've also talked to UNCW about co-sponsoring this project as well. And they've had some transitions going on, and we hope to hear from them soon about their ability to support this project. One of the things that we'd ask them to do as a co-sponsor would be to, and what we're really looking for is a research-based institution that has a demonstrated commitment to preparing local government leaders for the future. And we would ask them to provide strategic direction and support for the project. Initial tasks will be to assist in developing meeting agendas, determining appropriate formats, given that we'll have people from around the country involved in a mobile governance network to oversee this project. We want them to lend us their tools in terms of video conferencing and so forth. Also, the co-sponsor will work collaboratively to increase network member project familiarity. That's one of the things that we would like a research-based institution to do. And it's great to have a university or a college attached to a project like this, because they do bring a lot of credibility as well as resources. And so we've talked to UNCW about that, as well as hosting a 2-day introduction and dialogue on their campus. And also the role of a co-sponsor would be to establish a website for dialogue, capacity building, and project development within that program, and to support implementation.
So do y'all have to wait till they get the new chancellor before y'all can move forward on that, or what is?
Well, she announced last week, and we had discussions with them over the summer. And they've had some changes going on in their public administration program, and so we're anticipating that once they get through that, which is what we've been told, we'll be able to find out whether or not they want to support this process or not. If they don't, that's going to mean that we need to find another research-based institution to support this process as well.
Dewey,
Yes,
one
sir.
thing for consideration might be the relative leveraging capacity. Instead of going with an institution, going with the university system, which has 7 MPA programs that are out there. They have the School of Government, the Institute of Government, and some other capacities, which would really plug you into an entire networking system, one that has national visibility.
That's a great
as
idea.
well. And it would not be at the expense of UNCW or any of the other programs. It would also be easier to leverage Fed funds coming in to support that project.
That's actually a very good idea, and I believe they've got a new chancellor now in the past year, or is it?
UNC Wilmington Chancellor DiPaolo just left. I think it was like in the last 2 weeks.
Well, she
And that's the
announced. Yeah, she actually announced, but she's going to be leaving on July 1st.
Right.
of next
Okay.
year.
Well, same thing then.
Yeah.
We might be able to have you
That's
your
it.
cake and eat it too, and have a lot more presence.
We've not talked about that, but we've had a lot of good dialogue with ASU, and we've also had good dialogue with the University of Virginia through the Senior Executive Institute program as well. They've said that they want to participate, that they're willing to serve on the network, and which reminds me that one of the communities that's interested in participating is actually Charlottesville, Virginia. And then also the community in Oregon is called, it's actually Herndon, Oregon. Their manager is committed. They've actually got some unique challenges coming up with their utilities and potential rate hikes. What they want to do is they want to get the public involved in a process like this, so that there's some awareness as those increases occur, and that get the public involved in prioritizing any capital improvements they need to make there. But Bill, that's a good idea, and because there are actually 16 campuses, but it sounds like 7 have MPA programs.
Now, 7 have MPA programs, but more than that have at least undergraduate municipality governance program to support that.
Okay. Again, this is a national network. What we're proposing to have is a mobile governance network which would have folks from across the country participating in finding out more about the program, helping us to manage it and to manage those pilot programs in communities. The nice thing about a research-based entity is that they can help you publish as well. And so whether we need students to help us, document some of the progress that we're making in communities, and then to publish that so that we can share that with other entities would be something that we'd be interested in. We talked about the pilot programs in 3 to 5 communities. And right now, we are planning to have an initial retreat at UNCW if they commit in early 2011. That's our next step. I don't know if you've seen this quote from Rick before, but it's very interesting. Ultimately, a transformational governance and decision-making structure will emerge, in our opinion, due to mobile technologies in which as many people in the community as are interested are involved in research and development for transforming democracy. And actually, Norma Owen is a person that works with Rick on other projects as well. So the question that we have for us today then is whether or not there are some applications that will enhance service delivery, whether it's within Catawba County, or if you can think about cities within Catawba County as well. We'd be glad to work with cities in those areas. So in closing, this is going to be a very interesting process. What Rick and I have done over the past several months is to attempt to build awareness, and that's why we've spent some time at UNCW. We've also spent time at ASU, and we get an opportunity to, through Bill and Jane, they've been very gracious in terms of time and offering students and their interests as well. And we've also gotten support from the main campus, Mark Weston.
I remember, he's our new director of the MBA program. Is that who you're talking about?
Yeah, Mark Bradbury.
Yeah, Bradbury.
Yeah, Dr. Bradbury has said that he'd be very supportive as well. So again, the journey that we've been on is to build awareness. Our next step over the fall is to develop an agenda to finalize UNCW's co-sponsorship. If they can't co-sponsor this, we'd be looking for another research-based institution. And I think at the end of the program, our outcome is to work with pilot communities to put this process in place, make sure that we've got the tools so that people are taking more control over decision-making, and to work with elected officials in meeting their goals as well, and to be able to start those programs sometime after our initial meeting early next year. I think another development that's occurred since our last meeting, probably about a few weeks ago, is that Rick will be speaking at the World Future Society in Vancouver, and I may be joining him for that as well. We're still talking about working out some of the details on that, but that would actually be next July. And I guess he's presented for the last 25 years at the World Future Society conferences, and that might be a good opportunity to share the results of those initial pilot communities as well. So that's kind of what I want to share. I appreciate the support of this group, and I appreciate the work that you're doing because I think that fits in well with this, given that this is a spin-off from discussions that we got early on with this group. And we look forward to your support. Any questions?
Dewey, don't you think that you define pilot programs, since this originated here, that we ought to be on the leading edge of the pilot programs, and should there not be an immediate call to action for some kind of mobile governance task force that could begin work here in tying in all the governmental units and citizenry and business at large to begin implementing some of these things here?
Yeah.
Or is it too early? I don't know when you start that. It seemed to me that you want to start it now.
Well, I think the first thing for us is to get the university on board, and because we'll need their support in terms of the documentation of the process, helping us with just managing this whole program. I think once we get that in place, I would almost prefer to start with a more narrow focus so that we can learn from the experience, declare victory, talk about what worked well, what didn't work well, and then we expand it elsewhere, kind of in a building process. I know that Keep Catawba County Beautiful, I'm involved with that group as well through the county, And they're actually looking at pilot programs in Newton right now. So they've had discussions with the city of Newton about potential programs to deal with blighted communities and getting those folks involved in decision-making as well. But I agree with you, for us to have credibility, with this, I think it'd be nice if we had a pilot program. And that's something that we'll be looking at, down the road, whether it's through the library, from the county, the new library, the Trolls Board, getting that public involved, and setting up a process like this so that they can tell us what they're looking for.
When you talk about the research involved in this process, what are you talking about exactly needs to be researched as far as involvement of the university? I mean, are you going to have students that go out and seek communities to get involved in this process, or exactly what is the research that needs to take place?
Well, I think when it comes to, if you think about the chart that we had up here before, the 4 phases. Having a research capacity would fit in well with that.
Okay.
And let me talk, if you look at the that second phase, or identifying the key factors and connections, that's the phase in which the bias is minimized, but it's also the phase in which folks understand the nature of the problem. It could involve some research that the local government may not have in terms of solving problems. Maybe there's a demographic analysis that needs to be done about a particular area. And again, since we're all busy with our jobs, just having that research component through students, perhaps, or a faculty that's interested in publishing is very important. Because again, as we go along, we'd like to document what's working well, what's working well.
Are they going to pick a specific key issue and try and stake a flag in that issue?
Yes, or there could be multiple issues.
Well, one thing is just maintaining a consistent narrative of what happens, which you get involved in doing it. You don't write down what's happening because you're too busy to do it. But one of the things the university can do is provide somebody just to keep a consistent narrative of what has happened.
Right.
The other thing would be adoption rates, impact, effectiveness, levels of trust. Those are all potential research areas. Is it making a difference? Is it changing? Is it truly transformative? And you can do that without getting into normative judgment on an issue, one side or the other. You're just looking at how many people are coming into the process and
but you're going to try and stakehold on one specific issue initially,
It could be more than that. It could be more.
Okay.
I think Bill is right. My experience in Wilmington working with UNCW was very positive. And I know that we launched a number of projects where they did surveys and they would qualify the data and whatnot. They'd help us with focus groups. And so having that university behind you, particularly in an environment where we may not have as much trust as we'd like to have in government, gives us a lot of credibility as well.
And so initially this will involve an issue that is centrally focused on Wilmington or Southeast North Carolina, and
well, the issues would be in those 3 to 5 pilot communities, and so whether it's Charlottesville who said that they're interested, or it could be actually a place in Oregon is called, it's actually Hermiton, Oregon. I don't think of the name, it's near Pendleton, I know that much, but where they're talking about kind of revamping their utilities in terms of their rate structure, capital improvements, and so forth. That's an example of one of those issues.
okay.
So there could be